Honorable Chief Minister, Honorable Ministers, invited guests, my officials from Delhi, officials from Nagaland, and most importantly, all the industry captains, leaders, I would like to start with a slightly not so official view, if you'll pardon me. Nagaland doesn't get enough CSR. Nagaland is not drawing investors, was what the Chief Minister's observations were when he came to meet me in March and to speak about his concern. Today, I didn't disagree with him then, but I want to highlight today just that one call of the Chief Minister to hold a CSR and an investors conclave in Nagaland has drawn this entire business leadership to Nagaland. It is just one call. Just that one call from the Chief Minister. It was an anxious voice then, and I don't want that anxious voice to be heard again. It was, sir, your one singular call for drawing the attention of industry to say that Nagaland should be your natural choice, and that is why you have naturally Nagaland as your, very nicely coined. It does take a bit of effort, there is no doubt about it. And that little effort from the side of the Chief Minister is seeing this response today. It can even be better, I'm not denying that, but a response nevertheless. I therefore want to highlight the fact that calls for CSR will have to have some reality check as well. I heard the young entrepreneur who spoke, the lady who spoke well when the program started. Can it not be made mandatory? For which we've given an answer in the Parliament. She also went a bit further to say, if the government thinks nothing can be beyond its powers, to make it mandatory. But I'm sorry, you're right. But even without making it mandatory, you have seen the flow of investors who have come here to check it out, to offer money, offer services under the CSR. I'm not evading the question, I'm not evading the point that the young lady has made. But the point I want to highlight is, CSR in many parts of the country is still being pushed on the basis of the board's decisions, and as a result of which areas in which they see greater potential for social activity, funds are provided. But at the same time, there are also voices locally which say this company is present in my area, but they don't seem to spend adequately in my own area. And there are areas like Nagaland which don't receive adequately at all. So there are problems in our expectations about CSR. Let's keep that in mind. But I also heard the CII designate chief, Dinesh, telling us CSR happens when investments happen. So really, before us, there is a chicken and egg situation. Let investments happen, you'll get CSR. But CSRs don't happen and investments are not even coming in. So states like Nagaland do face this conundrum. Investments are taking their time to come, but can CSRs not come? And not wait for investments to happen. They didn't wait for investments to happen, they have come here. They have come here from wherever they are, not just to show that they are interested and invested in the CSR aspects of Nagaland. And I'm sure this conclave will be the first stepping stone, and there shall be many more who will come, many more who will take interest, and many more who will find common cause to have greater CSR and also for possibly potential for investments as well. But even in this list of CSR today, we have found greater interest in healthcare. Healthcare seems to draw a lot of CSR with their specific niche areas in which they want to spend their money, which is good for the people of Nagaland. And I think that should be encouraged. We should have more people coming in, even if it is for strengthening the primary health care of Nagaland. I appreciate, recognize, and also indicate that that could be one of the ways in which Nagaland's youth can be brought in as a part of CSR activities. I'm here referring to the announcement made by CII in setting up a training center for skilling with proper certification. And why is that important? The youth of Nagaland are well educated, and as the data which was mentioned by the Chief Secretary, it is above the national average, your literacy rate. You're young, about whom I can speak with a certain confidence because I had quite a few Naga students who had come to JNU. They were very well exposed, good and confident, and they could study in a national university like JNU with commendable performance. Youth of Nagaland have that thing in them, that they're well educated, they carry themselves off very well, they communicate well, they have great strengths. Today India, similar, marking the 75th year of independence, we heard the Prime Minister also say from the Red Fort that logistics in India is going to be a big play, where government will invest, private sector investments will also come in. There is an investment pipeline, all of which are aiming to strengthen the infrastructure in the country, existing as well as new, brownfield and greenfield, for which a lot of investment is coming also through the various investment funds which are coming into the country. Now, in dealing with this, in order to get greater synergy of projects which exist, when I say projects, railway station, ports, waterways, seaports, airports, manufacturing hubs, all these exist in the country, newer ones are also coming in. Now, how are we going to have greater synergy between them? Are they standing in isolation? Is there a habitable community around it? If there are more requirements for transit between a point to another, from where this hub is located, is there enough logistics? Is there enough mobility, facility for mobility? All this requires a lot of energetic young people to understand logistics, be trained in it, and take leadership position in this great effort of Gati Shakti. So for that you need young, energetic individuals who are going to be able to have the skills that is so required for giving leadership at various levels. At a first layer level, middle layer level, and also the top layer level. And I think, therefore, CII recognizing that potential in the youth of Nagaland and coming forward to set up such a training place with proper certification will only provide immense job opportunities for youth of Nagaland anywhere in the country. And let me add a bit more here. Without personalizing the matter, the CII designate is also a man who's led the logistics industry very much in India, and therefore you're hearing it from the horse's mouth, as it were. So that is a great opportunity which the CII is coming at a time when business leaders are here signing MOUs with the government of Nagaland and also for spending the CSR funds. There are a few thoughts which came in my mind based on the kind of little exposure that I've had from the afternoon. I've also had some very meaningful conversation with the Honorable Governor who's here today, also speaking about the various things we can do in Nagaland. The millets that you grow, the fruits that you grow, the pineapple that you grow, the ginger, the turmeric. With my little experience as Commerce Minister of the country between 2014 and 17, I can tell you the product can be superlative. The products can be organic. However, you have a little problem in that, given the terrain of Northeast, aggregating such products, aggregating without loss of time from the farmland and finding a market is the biggest challenge. Today the world wants organic products. You are sitting with a wealth of organic products. If that has to be aggregated, ideally aggregated by people belonging to this area so that you can benefit from it, aggregating and storing it, and without loss of time be able to find a market elsewhere in India or outside. We did attempt something from the Commerce Ministry, and I'm sure it is workable even today. But even better is this one thought about which I did mention to the Honorable Chief Minister, even as I was sitting on the base. There are some states who have taken up this call given by the Honorable Prime Minister. One district, one product. For instance, states like Uttar Pradesh, which also did not have the advantage of a larger market for their produce, sometime in 2019-20, started identifying products within a district. Not to say that product in another district will not be supported, but where the focus is, because I know pineapple, for instance, is superb in a particular district of Nagaland. I'm sure it grows elsewhere as well. Now, if you identify a product for each district, Government of India has come up with a good plan which gets executed even through the banks to provide common facilities for processing or for packing, and those common facilities can be available for all producers of the produce in that district. You also have the advantage of the banks together with the export authorities to bring in digital markets. Sitting where you are, you can identify the best price that you can get and ensure that the product is lifted from where it is to the market where it has to go. I would suggest, and I'm grateful that the Honorable Chief Minister received that thought and said he would certainly look into it. Identify for each one of the districts of Nagaland a product which need not necessarily be a perishable commodity. It can be a perishable agricultural product, or it can be a long-term, a product which can stay for longer, or it can be a handicraft product. It can be a weaver's product. It can be anything. The best in the district. And once you identify, there are ways in which the union government together with the banks can come help in setting up the primary infrastructure that you will need, bring in the digitized benefits of marketing it, and be able to take it further. And in this too, CSR can be of some help. Besides this, I also highlight for the sake of the government here and also for the youth of Nagaland that branding is a big deal. Now, why do you have to have naturally Nagaland? Naturally, Nagaland is, of course, there in our minds. But once you start identifying it with a certain logo, with a certain color combination, with a certain kind of image projection and communication, finding the best way to communicate about your states, some specific unique products. There are global markets waiting to lap them up. I can tell you from my experience, coffee in India has always been from Karnataka, Kodagu, a particular district where coffee has been traditionally grown. But when I was the representative from Andhra Pradesh in the Rajya Sabha, there is a hill district called Araku. It's a valley. It's called Araku Valley. The coffee grown there was the first time effort of coffee growers. They were tribals, they grew it in their open lands, being guided by the coffee board and others. But the effort they put to brand it, today Araku Coffee is a name to reckon with. In Paris High Street, you have Araku Coffee stall. I've been to that place. Unbelievable, the kind of reception it gets. It's one district in Srikakulam, next to Srikakulam. It's a hilly district full of plant. And I'm sure therefore your millet, your coffee, which I have had the benefit of tasting because the Honorable Chief Minister had presented me once one little bottle of it, I think it's fantastic. But you should brand it. I just have a few more thoughts to share with you. Your Honorable Minister for Planning was telling me that majority of the teachers here come from South India. At the same time, I've also heard, not here but in Delhi, that students in Nagaland do require science and technology education facilities. The STEM, science, technology, engineering and medicine, has to have greater facility available here for students to study. So I would think that is one area in which, in order to cultivate greater interest in science, Niti Aayog has a very good scheme which I have taken to Karnataka as an MP from that state. The entire coastal Karnataka, western part of Karnataka, benefited by setting up in schools what is called an Atal Innovation Mission projects, the AIM, Atal Innovation Mission projects, where they set up fantastic science labs in school. And that gets graded upwards in colleges. And that further gets graded upwards as innovation hub in the university which is present in that state. I would appeal to the authorities here, be guided by your Honorable Chief Minister But Atal Innovation Missions, Atal Tinkering Labs should have come to your schools. You should have had Atal Tinkering Labs in most of your schools by now. At least now, make sure that Nagaland school does get the benefit of the tinkering labs at the school level and at the college level and even further afterwards. Some talk about tourism. I would strongly think there is a big potential for domestic tourists to come to Nagaland for homestays, be a part of a Naga tribe's home. I'm sure a lot of youth in India who are very mobile and who would want to have some exotic experiences should be invited for homestay in each of the tribe's house. Each one can choose whoever they want to and get exposure. Appreciate the way they live. You live so naturally. You live in a sustainable fashion. You know to use natural resources frugally but make a beautiful, colorful, culturally rich life. Indian youth from every part of the country should share that experience. I would think that is one of the things on which the tourism department in this state can do some innovative thinking. And finally, agriculture is a big thing here. Today, drones are bringing in greater efficiency into agricultural practices. You are able to better map the land, better understand the terrain. You are also able to better advise the farmers about land's nutrition, about the way the crop can be cultivated. Drones have a great magnetic attraction of the youth. I find several of the youth getting into drone manufacturing. I invite the youth of Nagaland to look at the world of drones and see if you can contribute to it. And I'm sure there are several startups which can share their experience with you on that as well. Without taking more time, I appreciate the Chief Minister of Nagaland for ensuring CSR reaches and not in small numbers, big numbers to Nagaland. I appreciate your effort and I'm sure the youth of Nagaland will give you great support. It might even be worth your while to form a task group of Naga youth who can themselves become the brand ambassadors. Move around the country on behalf of the government of Nagaland. Take some of the officials with you. Convey the message of Nagaland to all the industries. Seek startups to share their time with you. And ensure that you are building the brand for Nagaland. I'm sure it's a workable idea and the Chief Minister will give some time to think about it. I personally thank each one of the companies, industries who have come forward for this CSR conclave. My particular thanks to companies which have invested their CSR in bringing in some kind of a socially conscious facility for Nagaland. I'm very grateful to each one of you because Nagaland has to also catch up and develop as fast as many of our states. India's development cannot be without each and every one of the states developing equally or even better. So thanks to each one of you who have come for the physically come for attending and also ensure that you're giving your resources for the CSR purposes. But even otherwise, I think this investor conclave will have to open up avenues for investment in Nagaland. So thank you very much for having me here. I'm greatly impressed by the enthusiasm and energy of the Naga youth. I wish you all the very best and prosperity to the state, this beautiful state of Nagaland. Jai Hind.